right, and recording. Test, test, test. Good evening, Manhattan, New York City, the world, the universe, America, and beyond. Tonight, we have a special gift and a special interview. Round 2, that's right, on the Kirk Spiritual TV show with Lisa Larson. And she's an animal communicator. She has clients around the world. If you want to see that interview, you go right over to YouTube and type in Kirk is a shaman and Lisa Larson, animal communicator. Who is Lisa Larson? She's got a website at PawsTalk.net if you want to talk to any of your animals, living or passed on, over that rainbow bridge. And I asked Lisa back. Our last interview was about 6-8 months ago or something. Right, Lisa?
Yeah, seems like it's kind of time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes fast. During the interview, when we were talking last time, Lisa said she started out reading the Tarot before the universe guided her into her real, occupation, which is to help humans and animals, right?
Yep.
And it stuck in my mind, and I was like, I wrote Lisa an email, and I said, we got to get you back. We got to get you back to talk about the Tarot and mediumship. Oh, let's just take a little yoga breath and relax into the energy and, ask that divine spirit and God and goddess and all the animal helpers on the other side and around and everywhere, just be present here and give us some kind of love and light. And we'll step into the sacred circle with Lisa Larson about the Tarot and mediumship. Boom. Okay, so where do you want to start? What's a good starting point? The Tarot reading, which came first, mediumship or the Tarot for you?
Oh, for sure, Tarot. I've been doing Tarot since I was about 16. We had a little vacation house, and I remember one of my dad's friends brought his daughter down, and she did a reading for me when I was 16 years old, and I just thought, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever. So I came home and I bought myself a deck of cards, and it took me, it was interesting. It took me about 5 years to really start reading them, because I would play around with them. And then I would go, and I would every time I'd throw something, I would pick up a book and I would go looking for the interpretation. But when you do that, when you're trying to look, you can't learn that way, So I took a class, and it wasn't until I took a class about 5 years in that I started realizing you have to understand the basics of the card, but you have to not rely on those things. You have to not rely on a book or somebody else's interpretation. You need to understand the basic, the suits and stuff like that. But then it's what you do with it. It's what you interpret from those cards for each reading. And I love the Tarot because it really gets you into symbolism, which when I teach mediumship, when I teach animal communication, I always suggest learn to read the Tarot, because it gets you into a space of thinking symbolically. And I'm also a shaman. I'm an ordained alakai, which is in the Huna tradition. The Huna is a Hawaiian philosophy. And again, very symbolic and dream work and stuff like that. So I just feel like if you have a basis in Tarot, you can stay in Tarot, or it allows you to expand in so many other of these areas.
Okay, so Tarot is a good liftoff, right? Because it kind of eases you in. You've got you've got Jewish, Christian, alchemical, you've got astrology, zodiac, mysticism, numerology. I mean, I do say this because, the Churro really is the one esoteric system that really contains all the other esoteric systems.
It really does. Yeah, I mean, and that's a nice thing about it. I mean, you can take any of those other systems and you can learn the Churro through those systems, and it might be, you might read it a different way than somebody else that reads it through a different system, but it's still all going to apply. I mean, I know just a little bit about astrology. I happen to use numerology in Churro a lot, but I don't use astrology as much as other people. I don't use Kabbalah as much as other people do, but it kind of opens up, all of these systems kind of open up different areas of the Churro and allow you to, read it through a different path,
All right, yes. Okay, so we've got some Freudian in there, and we've got some Jungian archetypes, and we've got a lower arcana, a higher arcana, and to me, the higher arcana is basically everybody's life is the same story, right? I mean, we're on the journey of the fool, the journey of the hero.
Mm-hmm.
So
we all have our life lessons. I look at it as that we all have our life lessons, and we all go through. Yeah, we all kind of go through universal life lessons that the major arcana represents.
Okay. And there's kind of like higher arcana means hidden knowledge, esoteric knowledge.
And I think of it as higher spiritual lessons. Yeah, esoteric knowledge. So when I get a reading with a lot of major arcana in it, I think that this is a reading about somebody having to learn things on a higher level. There's something changing in their life on a higher level than just their job, or just their relationship, or just their job. They're whatever they're going through in their physical world, minor arcana type of things. They're on a path to be learning things in a more spiritual way if they choose to. Of course, we all have free will.
All right, so we learn one lesson as a course base idea, then it gets streamlined, then we learn it again, then we learn it again, then we get a higher and higher, right? Till you...
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can circle back around.
Right, so we go up to...
So sorry.
That's okay. We go up to a complete streamlining, refinement, high vibration on that lesson. We get up to a purification. We get up to the world. Then we start with the innocence, and we round out with we're innocent, but we have the accrued wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that about?
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I first, want to also lay a foundation for anybody that hasn't seen the other interview for you. Shucks. You studied something like that a genius studies that nobody studied, right? What was that? Before, and then you're also a musical genius, too.
Oh, well, I don't know if I would say a musical genius. I graduated Guitar Institute of Technology, which is now Musicians Institute of Technology. It's one of the, I consider it one of the most prestigious music schools in the country. You pick an instrument and you go and you study that, nothing more. But what I loved so much about it, and I don't remember talking about this last time, but what I loved so much about it was that the teachers there were incredibly spiritual. So we weren't just learning, I wasn't just learning guitar, I was learning my spiritual lessons as we went along, because I mean, some of the things that my teachers have told me in that school, even though I can no longer play, I got injured, so I can't play anymore. But some of the things that I learned from those teachers have changed my life. I got as much spiritually from that experience as I did musically.
Right. So they kind of unveiled some things. They were your first shamans and witches and elders, right? That's kind of what I'm seeing for you. Okay, and so then you study, you go and you meet some of the gods and goddesses. They teach you things. They open you up. You find the Churro. But then what happens? You go to school. Was it linguistics? Was it neuroscience? What did you do next?
So after I that fateful day when the doctor said you can't play guitar anymore, which was a real a real life-changing thing, I ended up doing. For 8 years, I was an ultrasonographer, a vascular ultrasonographer. So I worked in a hospital for a long time. And at that time, after I did that, interestingly enough, I decided that I wanted to go back to school. I really didn't know, because after I lost music, I was kind of out there. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But after I decided I wanted to go back to school, and when I first started back in school, I happened to get a job reading the Churro through a psychic line, but it's not like the psychic lines now. The psychic lines now, they do it all on commission. People do it from their house. They route the things to your home. And I tried that. I didn't like it at all. This was someplace where you actually went and you got paid an hourly wage. It was a real job. You got paid an hourly wage, so it wasn't your commission it wasn't a commission type based thing. And they don't have those anymore, unfortunately, because I thought they were a lot more legitimate than what they have now. And so I read professionally that way, which anytime you start doing anything over and over and over again, you start really, really getting so much better at it. But then I went back to school, and I decided, I wanted to go back and get my bachelor's and my master's, and I kind of fell out of that stuff for a while, and I ended up teaching for a long time, and then, I don't know, 12 years ago or so, I remember waking up. I was getting back into reading, and I remember waking up one day and just hearing a voice in my head, and it said, "You're supposed to become a medium and a healer." Okay. I didn't even at the time really know that much about mediumship. I didn't even know what Reiki was, because I'm a Reiki master as well. And you hear something that clearly, you tend to take notice. And so that really, really kind of, while I've studied this all of my life, that really, really got me back into it being my life path. And what I came to understand, bringing it full circle, whereas with music, I always thought with music, the one thing I wanted to do with music was to be able to make other people feel like I felt when I used to listen to really, really good music. Because how, like, when you hear that one piece of music and it just...
Oh, no. Wait, hang on a second. We just... shucks. I forgot to... let me go back to... oh, no. You still there?
I'm there. I see it paused, though.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Oh, God, it's a tech problem right in the middle. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, phone. Oh, wait. Here, push this. There we go. Okay. Got a pesky text. Okay, let me just straighten you out again. There we go. I got to tell my people, don't text me. Okay, we're good. Because the text flashed up on the screen. Thank God it wasn't anything. Okay. This is my first cell phone. I just got it 2 months ago.
Oh, wow. iPhone?
Yeah, yeah. My family sent it to me.
You'll love it.
Yeah, no, it's making my thing. Okay, so wait a minute. Let's go back to first of all, I want to touch on you as a medium, as a musician, before you ever put it together, right? Because let's kind of toss that out. You know what? Before I was doing this TV show, I performed on stage, spoken word, poetry slams. And, you know, the process of writing and getting ready, I was reading tarot cards, but, you know, it's like this influx of several streams. And I realized when I was on stage and I would go and the lights would hit my eyes and I would grab that mic, you know, that is a form of mediumship as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a form of healing, and that's what I was saying. You know, I mean, when I used to play music, there, you know, when you hear a piece of music that you just went, oh God, that's so good. It touches you right down here, you know? And I always thought that's, you know, I mean, I know a lot of people get into music just because they want fame or whatever. You know, I wanted to do it because I wanted to make people feel like that. And, you know, you get up on stage and there's nothing, you know, there's nothing like being on stage and hearing that applause. And when I lost my music, when I lost being able to play music, it was, you know, clearly crushing for me. But coming full circle and realizing that I was supposed to be a medium and realize that I was supposed to be an animal communicator and putting all of these things together, it's like I always kind of jokingly but not so jokingly say that, you know, when I finish a session, I'm hearing one pair of paws at a time or one pair of hands at a time, you know? I mean, because it doesn't, for me, it doesn't have to be a whole room full of people. It's still healing. I'm still, you know, clearly having lost my music was the universe's way of saying, wait a second, it may have taken you a while to figure this out, but really you're supposed to be doing it this way. You're supposed to be healing and helping and assisting people in this way on a more spiritual level. I mean, because, you know, music can get you so far, but this takes it in a different direction that I never thought, you know, whereas music, you know, obviously, you know, I it was all about sound, but when I started doing this, I realized, you know, when I think back about music, some of the most important things in music are the silences in between, and now everything that I do is in complete silence. And it's really an interesting yin and yang thing to look at of how, you know, it's all about healing. It's all about assisting. It's all about doing what the universe is you know, following the path that the universe has set out for you. And you know, hearing that voice in my head, you know, you're supposed to be doing this. It's like, okay. And I even at one point had a reading with John Edward, and after that reading, I realized, you know, he made a comment. I told him that comment about, you know, that I heard in my head, you're supposed to be a medium, and he said, oh, so you were kind of anointed by the mafia, you know, he kind of like, this is the way that it's supposed to be. But you know, I mean, with my animal communication, I was sitting there going, well, why am I doing so much animal communication if I'm supposed to be doing that? And I realized with my mediumship, you know, I'm a person that I want to do everything well. That's my goal, you know. And what I realize is that there are many, many times when an animal will bring through people, and in a way that they wouldn't have come through before. And I want to be able, and I realize that's one of the reasons I'm supposed to be doing mediumship. If you'll allow me just a moment more, I had one client that I was doing, I believe I was talking to an animal in spirit. She knew that I could talk to an animal in spirit, but before that dog would let me talk to him, he brought her parents through. And she had no clue that anybody could talk to her parents on the other side. And I'm a firm belief that the universe sends me the people that they send me for a reason.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
She didn't just go to a medium. She didn't just go to an animal communicator that doesn't know how to do mediumship. She went to a person who was also a medium who popped over and said, okay, I'm going to stop this now and I'm going to go over because obviously she needs to hear from her parents. And she wrote me an email the next day just gushing, saying, of course she was all crying and everything while I was doing it. I kind of joke and say I'm in the only profession that if I make people cry, I'm doing my job well, But she was going, it was just so meaningful to hear from my parents that I needed that, but I never knew it was possible. And so I believe that many times the animals bring these people through in a way that they need to be, for people that need to hear from them.
Right. A couple of things. First of all, I mean, it's, I always implicitly knew since I was a kid, if the universe brings you somebody, you're supposed to step aside almost, right? I mean, whatever they need. Mine has been, I don't know if it's a gift, but this is my best handicapping, I guess, for past lives, my best pitch for past lives that they exist is that people came to me and told me stuff all the time and I didn't bat an eye. I mean, adults without judgment, and I just allowed them to somehow atone and cleanse themselves. And how does a 10-year-old, 15-year-old know how to do that? Like, just become that projection board and absolve them. That's the word I'm looking for.
Well, and don't you find that as healers, many people in this profession, or many people that are in the profession for the right reasons, because there are some people that are in the profession for the wrong reasons, but many people that are in this profession for the right reasons, they're the type of people that people just naturally open up to. I remember long ago when you had to make plane reservations by calling someone instead of on the internet. I was calling and making plane reservations, and all I was doing was flying a two-hour flight, and an hour and a half later I knew about this woman's divorce, her child that she had lost, everything about her life. It's like, I think people instinctively feel that in us, and there's a trust factor that many times people understand, even if they don't know who we are, what we are, they understand through the energetic connection that we're safe to talk to.
Right. There is, a sacredness. There's just an automatic implied trust. I don't know how that happens. Because I don't really consider I don't look in the mirror and go like, Kirk, you're such a trustworthy person.
Yeah.
But, I really do not, that's not the first adjectives that come to my mind. But, when it goes down and somebody, like, all of a sudden that heart chakra opens up and they need to release this stuff, I don't even know how to do it half the time.
Yeah. Because it's the path, it's the path that you're supposed to be taking. And, and that's what I like so much going back to the Churro. That's what I like so much about the Churro, is that it gives you this, like, physical thing that you can kind of have a relationship with. It allows you to have a relationship with the cards, with each of the individual cards, with the deck, things that you can take. Like, I remember when I was first learning to read, every single night I would just, throw a three or four card spread, or just a one card, what do I need? And it truly is this idea of having a relationship, and you're not only having a relationship with the cards, it's teaching you to have a relationship with the process. It's teaching you to have a relationship with the metaphysical concepts and ideas.
Okay, real quick. Anybody that doesn't know what the Tarot is, you hate it, you love it, you have your own personal guru, psychic, shaman, medium. Basically, it's broken up into elements or suits, and you've got water, which represents emotions and femininity to a general degree. Then we've got pentacles, which are earth, and more earth identified. Okay, here we go. And masculine types of things. Then we've got wands, which are sexuality, creativity, and fire. So there we go. Okay, there's the knight or prince, some say, of wands. And then we have, what else? Air, which is the quality symbolized by swords. That's the Ace of Swords in the background. Yeah, there you go. And that
full screen.
That represents the intellect. It represents ideas. An idea whose time has come. It represents brain power, and it represents the element of air. So when you see the Magician or the Mage, maybe in the Crowley deck, he's got all of the elements on his table. There you go. Okay. Pull it back just a little bit first, Lisa. There we go. Okay. Yep. You see there he's got the cups, the pentacles, he's got the swords and the baton. So, and he's surrounded by innocence in the beginning with the white flowers. I can't remember. And, it's a sunny day. He or she, it really is kind of a unisex magician, I guess. And also got a symbol of infinity. And, the way the arms are pointed is connection to heaven and earth. You're always, you don't always, when people call me and they're like, I want to talk to my relatives, I'm like, talk to them. They can hear you. I say, you don't need me, but I don't really do that type of past relatives type of thing. When people contact me for that and say I want to do that specifically, I say, there's other people that do that better than me. My gift is not the hottest or the warmest. A lot of times a relative will come through in a specific tarot reading or just a mediumship, general healing art session. But if they come through, then I'll do it. But I never tell the client, on my website, I don't say, I'm going to connect you to your relatives, because that's not my main source feed. So I think it takes a while to streamline and understand the gift, learn how the gift works for you, and then learn what is the most germane to you as a healer. A lot of times people will hire me for a tarot reading. I throw 3 cards, and then it goes into a shamanic thing, and I didn't really even give them a proper reading.
It's a jumping off point.
Right. I did have a client, and she was like, at the end of it, I was like, you just got a $500 shamanic healing, and she was like, I wanted a tarot reading. And I was like, okay, I don't know. You got to play the part. You got to, they need props. A lot of times people need the prop. Give me your hand. I'll look at it. Here's the card. I think those are very helpful. But sometimes it just, their higher self tells you that they need something more than what they think they want. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think you know what the session is going to be like. A lot of times, like, a client will contact me. I get the entire reading one email from them.
I know.
And then other times, I don't get anything. Then I get in front of them, cam to cam. I barely get anything. And then a week later, I get the entire reading. Has that happened to you? So now I just tell clients, it's kind of like, why am I paying you $300 an hour? Well, there's kind of like 3 weeks in it. Like, that's another thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just, that reading starts when I get that email and they make a donation, which is really saying, I want to be read. You know what I mean? I'm allowing you.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think one of the things that's very important is the idea of being open to the process. And maybe this is a good time to tell people, for those who really don't know about Churro or any of these things, it's one of the best things. Let me step back for a second. The sitter or the querent, what we call the sitter or the querent, is the person that we're reading for. And that sitter, they don't understand, I think some of them don't understand how big of a role they play in getting a good reading. So, when I do a mediumship reading, I always make sure to tell people, well, don't ask your relatives ahead of time, well, tell me, what you said on your deathbed, and then I'll know that it's really you. Or bring up this particular thing, because then I know it's really you. Because when they do that, when you have a very focused thing that you want, what it ends up doing is testing the person that's reading you, and it's closing off the energy. So that's actually the best way to get the worst reading. And I'll give you an example in terms of an animal reading that I was doing one time. I had a husband and wife came over, and they had lost their cat. And for the first 5 or 10 minutes, I was just getting no. I mean, nothing, she was saying nothing was hitting. And so I realized, and this is different after experience leads you to understand that this might be happening. I asked her, is there something specific you're waiting for? And she said, well, yes, I want to know, I think it was, how he died or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And I said, okay, here's the deal. You need to let me do my job. You need to
yes.
You need to let go of whatever it is that you're focused on wanting to hear. And as I was saying this, her husband was going, yes, because she was feeling guilty, which already guilt is a very constricting energy, which again shuts down the reading. So fortunately, she was very, very good at it. The minute I told her that, she let it all go. I said, just let me do my job and open yourself up to the process. Because the thing is, what you want to hear may not be what Spirit wants to tell you. Maybe Spirit has something different that is more important to them, or animal, or whatever. And the minute she did that, the reading just flew. We just went boom, 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 and she was crying, the tissues were flying, and afterwards I got up and I hugged her and I said, see what happens when you let go? So it's all about picking a person that you feel that you can trust, using your intuition and saying, I'm choosing this person for a reason because I feel a connection. I feel that this is the right person for me. And then be willing to let them do their job, be open to the process, and don't try to control the reading, because the more you try to control the reading, the more you shut down the energy, and the worse the reading is going to be.
Okay, here's a couple of things. If I get such a powerful 1 or 2 paragraph in an email for an inquiry, and I feel the whole reading, I don't screen the client at that point. But
don't what?
I don't screen the client.
Mm-hmm.
But I have really started to screen the clients and say, number one, have you had a reading before? Do you know what you're why are you actually contacting me? What makes you think I'm your healer? So, you're really trying to streamline the situation to really make the most of their time with you. They've got 45 minutes with you face to face. So what you're trying to do is get all of that, like a lot of the groundwork clear. And another thing is, are they going to let you get in there to read?
Because sometimes it gets really personal. Sometimes you get, there have been times that I've done tarot readings, well, any type of reading really, and, I see things that are really, really, really personal that they may have never told anybody. I remember one reading when I was on the psychic line, this woman who was being beaten up by her boyfriend. And she, and I saw that. I asked her, gently, and she just said, I've never told that to anybody, So of course, I gave her, some numbers to call and stuff. But sometimes you can get into some really, really serious things that they have to be open to as well. And let me make one other point, is that there are different types of readers too. When somebody calls me for a Churro reading, what I do is I make sure that I explain my process very, very well, and so that they understand that I'm not going to be telling them their future. I'm not a predictive reader. I use the tarot as a tool of self-improvement and self-reflection. So I'm going to look at the things that are going on in their lives, the things that are going on in their subconscious that maybe they aren't aware of, and see the blocks that they are creating for themselves. So in other words, if I see something and it looks like it's going in a particular direction, I'm going to give that to them, and I'm going to say, look, if you want this to happen, this is what you need to do to make it happen, because it's not going to be happening just because I say it's going to happen. I may see it, but you need to create it, because we create our own realities, and we have free will. If it's not what you want to happen, then this is what you have to change to change it into a different direction. So I use the tarot to help them look at what their blocks are, what's holding them back, and what their potential is that they may not be seeing or be willing to look at, so that they can create the life that they want. But I'm very, very clear at saying, if somebody comes to me and says, I want to know if my boyfriend and I are going to get back together, you know what? I'm probably not the reader for you. I'm not going to tell you that, because by the time I see, I could say, oh, you're going to meet the love of your life in 3 days in a cafe. And that's how the energy stands right at this very moment. But maybe tomorrow something changes, because everybody has free will. Something changes. He steps off a curb, gets hit by a car, and then he's in the hospital in 3 days while you're in the cafe sitting around waiting for him.
Right. Here's a couple of things as feedback. Here's what it pays to go to a seasoned reader like you and I, because the prep and the screening of the client, if the client is not, oh, here goes that damn text again. Oh, okay, there it goes. Sorry. If the client says, I really want this reading, and then I tell them, look, if I were a dentist and you came to me and said, fix my cavity, but you wouldn't open your mouth, I wouldn't be able to do it. So they think that you just, a lot of times, well, you just turn the camera on and you know every single thing and you know everything. And I'm like, no, you are not. It's like a book. It's like a channel. You have to let me see some things. So you have to really kind of establish, oh, for the love of Pete, this is my family. Dang. I don't know how to, I don't want to lift the phone and please excuse my texting. Oh, I can't believe this. Okay, wait a second. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to lift you up. My family knew I was in an interview too. I'm in an interview. You're watching it. I apologize.
That's technology. technology.
Yeah, I'm in an interview. Stop texting me. There you go. Now, please. I don't know how to do how do you do the do not disturb? Oh, I found a do not disturb. Okay. All right. Let me go back to you. Hey, I got you right back. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's just. So, there we go. You're like floating like a genie on the camera here right now. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, screening the client, and you have to okay, this is what I think I'm working out. The client has to be accountable as well.
They're part of the process.
This is what you're saying. The client's energy, you're bringing something. And you know what? If you're running an inference on me, I'm like, look, you are spending $200 to $300 an hour, and now you're not going to let me read for you because you've got this kind of like up and down, up and down. I want you to see it. I don't want you to see it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, I'm not going to say I have to push people around, but you really do. It's almost like a waiter, a bartender, a service. You have to let me do this. Like if you don't allow me to wait on you, or, you've hired me to do this. So you need to back it up and get out of my... I love it when you get a client and they try to read your aura.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And they're like all over your aura and your heart chakra, and you're like, no, I'm reading you. You're not going to read me. You're not going to get into my... we're keeping the focus on you. Like when they get uncomfortable sometimes... So, this is once again a seasoned reader is learned all these things and is a lot more adept at having a smoother reading, knowing when to, how to interpret. You don't just say, hey, there's a lot of questions out there. I know you're on that website where we met initially, which was, what was the name where you answer questions? Quora. Where people ask about certain questions about mediumship, and now I lost my train of thought. Shucks.
Well, you were saying about the process and them being part of it.
That their energy is basically accountable. A lot of times they might disappear and they're not present all of a sudden, so then you got to pull them back. And, I use a magic wand. I'm actually pretty theatrical, too. I might wear a little mascara if I think it's appropriate. Like they want it more of a show, because that's what's going to get them to open up a little bit, a little extra jewelry, candles, I think. Here's what I wanted to say as well. A lot of my reading is... Because the psychic stuff is the easy part, really. That's the hard part is kind of like the logistics of setting the stuff up and the website. But it's also, I find, making the client relaxed and comfortable.
And knowing how to deal with the client and understand. You were talking about the seasoned reader is what you were actually talking about there. And, that's so true. I have... When I was very, very first learning to be a medium, and I was just kind of putting it out there, asking people, send me people and I'll just do them for free because I just want the practice. And there was one woman who came to me, and again, this is kind of going back to that thing where she had a focus of what she wanted, but I wasn't seasoned at that point. But then I wasn't, charging her money either, she knew that. But oh my God, this reading was grueling. It was an hour and a half, and I kept getting stuff, and it was just like, no. And at one point I was, I had gotten, and I felt like I was very well connected, and I told her, I said, okay, I'm getting somebody with 4 kids, 3 are the same, 1 is different, like either 1 is dead and 3 are alive, or there's 3 girls and 1 boy. And she's like, no, okay, all right, we move on. I'm also getting an S name like Sharon or Susie, or I could be off by the name but not by the initial, and no. And this just went on and on. And afterwards I asked her, I said, well, what is it that you were wanting to, what is it that you wanted from this reading? Again, as a seasoned reader, I wouldn't have gone through the whole thing. Now I know to ask earlier on, And she said, well, I wanted to hear what my son said to me on his deathbed. And I'm like, and then she said, well, we've been through so much because my son died a year ago. I have 3 other daughters, and his sister Suzanne was very, very close to him, and she's having a really, really hard time of it. I just went, really? Didn't catch any of that, So it's that perfect example of, she missed all of that because she just wasn't hearing what she wanted. But that, again, that was on me as well because, I was just learning. And when you're talking about going to a seasoned reader, part of being a seasoned reader is knowing how to give the information so that they don't shut down.
So they, right, yes, so they can hear it.
So they can hear it. So in other words, it's I remember when I was studying with Lisa Williams, I was practicing with one of the other students, and she said to me, well, I have your sister here. And I said, no, you don't. Because, I don't have a sister. I know I don't have a sister. Well, what it ended up being is she was bringing through one of my best friends who had passed from breast cancer sometime before. And, and I told her at that point, because I had been doing this professionally for a little while first. And I told her that's one of the things is when, instead of boxing them in like that, you want to say, I've got a sister figure here. Because when we connect in that way, yes, when I think about it, she was very much like a sister to me. But if somebody says sister, I'm going to think biologically.
Right, okay,
but
yeah.
A sister figure, it opens them up to say a sister figure. Who do I consider my sister?
Okay, seasoned reader has taught me to say, when you really... This is what I actually have a magic wand. I have this sparkly liquid magic wand, and I use it because it's very instructive. And I point to the card a lot of times, and I'm like, "You're not hearing what I'm saying. If you can't hear this, we're gonna put it down for a minute, and we're gonna go back to it." And then I tap it again. But I'm gonna give you a story briefly that's illustrative of when I was a new reader. And I went to this person's house, which I don't really do anymore. And I almost never see people in person anymore. But I go to this guy's house and I get my cards and I'm trying to attune. And I tell this guy, there's somebody else's energy that is all over this apartment. There's somebody else's energy. It's like almost everywhere. It's like almost your energy isn't even in here. Do you know who that could be? He looks at me, blank stare. No, I don't have any idea. No, there's no such thing like that. There's nobody else's energy in here. And I was so definite. I was still a newbie, but I was so definite that I was like, you know what? I am not giving this up. There is somebody else's energy in here, and it is very strong. And so finally, after, 20 minutes of trying to and I'm getting all nervous. I feel invalidated. I'm blowing it. The guy goes, well, this guy, on another floor in this building died and he gave me all his furniture and, all of his stuff is all over the place. I mean, is it that? And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you, I sleep in this dead guy's bed. And, you've got a medium here saying there's, your energy's not... This actually really...
amnesia, and the thing is, just so that nobody thinks that we're kind of ragging on them, is that we do it too when we get read.
Right, right. Yeah, no.
Nostalgic amnesia when I've been read. Sometimes you get off on something and you just don't realize. And yes, that goes back to the seasoned reader, because with a seasoned reader, you start to, having had those experiences, you start to be able to know and recognize the questions. If they're saying no and it's like it's that strong, then you start to be able to understand, okay, well, wait a second, I have to step back here. I have to really look at what I'm seeing, and what are all the ways that I can present this to them so that they may understand this, because there's something here, I know it, but they're looking at it in one way, and I'm looking at it in another way, and somewhere, it's just sometimes it's a matter of semantics, sometimes it's a matter of the way that you're presenting it, or like it could be just the tiniest little thing, that you start asking, well, did somebody used to live here? Did somebody die here? Did somebody, were you best friend,
I started to panic, and I was just like,
yeah.
I got referred by a very heavy person, and I was like, he's going to call this guy and go, this guy didn't get anything. In fact, he lied. He got all this misinformation. So I started to panic. So a lot of being a mature reader and having, I also tell people this, just because somebody can read tarot cards in their medium doesn't mean they're qualified to give you spiritual advisement.
You bet.
This is another thing. I'm like, I'm pushing towards 60 now. My first psychic teacher was like, you're living 9-10 lifetimes in this lifetime already. So you are you've already, you have the wisdom of at least 10 people in this lifetime. So that's another thing with choosing your reader and, the person where you see wherever. Ask yourself that. They're not just reading cards. They're not just being a medium, but they're putting together the golden trifecta of wisdom. They're trying, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who are they? There's one specific medium that I know that I have taken a class with that, oh man, this person just has, he might be good in getting the information, but he has absolutely no business doing this work, and that's it, because if you haven't done the work on yourself, so that you can understand how to work with people, because we're working with people who are having real problems, in real grief. I don't think, I think a lot of times people think that, this is just fun and games, but this, I take my job very, very seriously. And just like that woman, that I just said about her son, a couple of months after that, I heard from the person who had referred me that, she went back and all the stuff, she said yes to, she didn't tell me, but she affirmed it for, said that it was all accurate, and I'm not criticizing her in any way, because I was not seasoned and she was in grief. That's the thing, if people do this work, but they don't have social skills, they don't know how to deal with people in grief, when they're having certain problems, it can be really devastating for them.
You're talking about really, I just want to give you the heads up here. We've kind of been talking for about an hour. We got about 15 minutes left, just to let you know. You're talking about being somebody's soul counselor. You're talking about really being a therapist. Now you're going into being a therapist. Mm-hmm.
And I have a master's in human behavior, and as I said, I'm an ordained alakai, which is a spiritual healer, teacher, counselor, which is legitimized, and not that there aren't people that are qualified, but that's one of the reasons why I've done that, because it's important for me to know that my clients know that I also have that background.
Right, right. You're getting into more of a shamanic energy dimension, moving around, vibrational healing. After you see the situation, now wait. I want you to show us some of the tarot cards, but let's just go one last line of topics. You're getting into the realm of you see the situation. Here is the thing. You've got it before you. Not all psychics are really healers, if you want my opinion. Like, I've tried to sort this out and talk about it in my 300 hours of YouTube vids. It's like, you know what? All healers are psychic, but not all psychics are healers. All mediums, I don't know if they're psychic or they're... All shamans are mediums.
Yeah, all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. And all animal communicators are pet psychics, but not all pet psychics are animal communicators.
So you're definitely, and I tell this to people too, once again, I'm going to reiterate what you said. In order to be a better reader or a better artist, you kind of do have to be a better person and want to work on yourself. You can't just be like, hey, I'm just a projection board. I'm just reading the cards. Here's what it says. You do have to have some finesse. My strength and my weakness is almost the exact same because I'm so blunt. I just take the truth and I just go boom, and that can be a weakness, and some people aren't really prepared for that. That's why I ask them, how do you know me? Where have you seen me? At the same time, if I'm that blunt with them, they instantly open up. This guy has really heard it all. He is right to the chase. I'm like, these are minutes of your life.
Well, and I believe that most of the people that come to you, they are universally drawn to you because that's the type of reader they need.
This is exactly
just like when people come to me, when I had that reading from John Edward, it was a great reading, and because he's just my favorite medium, and I've learned so much by watching him. But it made me realize the difference between my style and his. Until I was read by him, I was thinking, because I've learned so much by watching him, maybe my style is kind of like him, but I realized my style is not like him, pretty much at all. I may do some similar things, but just having watched him, but he's very blunt and he's very to the point, and not that I'm not blunt, but I am so emotional that once I get something, I don't just give it and then move on to other things, which is fine, but my style is I'm going to go in and I'm going to let them talk about things. I'm going to look at it on an emotional level more so that they can look at things. And then I realized that, after that reading, I realized, well, that's why the people that find me. The people that find him, or people that read like him, or people that read like you, that's why they find you. Because it's not that, one person is better than the other, or obviously John Edward is, better than most people, I think, but when it comes down to it, it's not so much that it's better, they're a better reader, or, what their skills are. It's who's better for that person. Because each individual person is going to react differently to each style of each reader. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that was a cat incident.
Okay.
He almost knocked over the light.
We don't mind the cat. The cat must be getting tired. The cat's giving energy too. I tell my client, I get people unstuck. If you've got something that is so frozen, I have got energy to burn in about 7 different dimensions. I'm your guy. Hey, guess what? If you need a root canal, you know what? It's not going to feel good. I'm sorry. And I try to, I'm the no bullshit reader. And I say that on YouTube. And there's 20 hours of me saying that. You want the no BS guy? I'm sorry to have to tell you, you want a little pain now or you want a lot of pain later. This is me. Okay, this is what you're going to get with me. I'm trying to save you the lot of pain later Okay, and I still don't have a judgment on you.
And it's all about educating our clients before they come to us, you know, I mean, and that's, you know, I don't know how many times I've said to people, you know, this is how I read, and if I hear any kind of hesitation in their voice at all, I say, look, you know what, think about it. I could easily take your money, but I don't want to do that unless I know that you feel that you're comfortable with me. You know, you are the one that needs to look at your intuition and see if you're comfortable. You know, go look at my website, go, you know, if you want to ask more questions, that's fine. But the bottom line is don't hit that submit button on my site until you know that you're comfortable that I'm the reader for you, and I'm fine with that. And if they go someplace else, I just figure that's you know, the universe, that another reader is probably better for them. But that's why I do it, because it makes everybody's life easier. I don't want to take money from somebody and have them, you know, go off, you know, finish the session and say that they didn't, that you know, they weren't happy. There we saw the kitty.
The kitty's still there?
Yeah, Daddy took him.
I would rather just give the people their money back. I would absolutely.
It's rare, but if that's the case, I would too.
I would just rather give you your money back and say, because you know what I don't want more than the money, or I need, you know, we need to keep our lights on, but at the same time, I don't want a list of clients that are like, oh, I'm unhappy. I don't want the money.
I think that's why you and I kind of get along, because we have that same kind of work ethic. You know, I want people to get value out of their reading. I want people to be happy, and you know, I mean, most of my business is, knock on wood, word of mouth. I don't advertise, you know, because, and you know, if I give them, you know, a few extra minutes, that's no skin off my nose. You know, I mean, does it always happen? No, but if it needs to happen, I'm not gonna. You know, I mean, there are other people that I know that, you know, they go. It's a 60-minute session, and then it's $1.99 per minute every minute passes. Like, oh please, you know. I mean, that does nothing to create trust between me and my client.
Right.
You know, I want to trust. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to help you, and whatever that takes, you know. I mean, obviously within reason. I'm not going, you know, I don't want to let people take advantage of me, and some people will try to do that. You know, there's no question. Some people will try to do that, but you know, I don't go in with the idea that people are going to, because, and I feel that most don't. You know, they appreciate what I give them because I'm giving it with the best intentions, and you know, it's about ethics. It's kind of what we've been talking about here. You know, I mean, even the difference between, you know, we can talk about the difference between seasoned readers and beginners, and we also can talk about the difference between ethical readers and people who are just in it for the money.
Right.
You know, so it's all who you are, how you run your business, and what you want to do. You know, the reason that you're in it, and for me, you know, I want my people to be happy. I want them to find value in it. I want to get off the phone and hear them say, you know, that really helped.
Right. Well, you know, we need to
start one pair of hands or one pair of paws talking at a time.
We need to start wrapping it up, because the studio is going to close in about 7 minutes. I couldn't agree more, you know, because I'm going to tell you, when the client gets a healing and you shut the camera off, you got healed too. You know what I'm saying? And so
definitely.
When you get energy, when you're given and it's a good, you screen the client right, you know you're supposed to spend time with that client, then you walk away and you got healed and you learned as well. So you expanded. You didn't. But Lisa,
and that good energy out to the universe.
Right, for your own karmic whatever. I don't need to make any more bad karma with people. You know what I mean? Like, I do not need any more. Trust me. 9 lives, you can fill in the blanks. You know what I mean? I'm still cleaning up the mess. Let's get to, did you bring us some cards we're going to have to wrap it up with? I think you were telling me about these invisible Churro cards. And I want to...
For one deck, we can talk about the Rider-Waite Churro until the cows come home, but this deck is called the Transparent Churro. It's just the greatest deck. Transparent Churro. I don't know if that's backwards for you or not.
No, we can see it.
But what these are is they're transparent cards.
Oh,
so
God.
What you do is you can not only do you lay them down 1, 2, 3, but you lay them down 1, 2, 3 this way, and then you kind of create. I don't know. Let me see if I can have a white background for you here.
No, we can see it.
We can see it. A different, you can create a story. And when you start putting them down, like, in a line and then stacking them, and then you start creating like a story, a timeline in between, because all reading is done with intuition. So with these, the way that I use them is it's like if I pick up this one, then I'm going to want to know, is this, does this go this way? Does this go this way? Because we turn it around, and then is this woman facing that person that's...
Wow, this is amazing.
Or is she facing away?
This is amazing. Can you get these Amazon? Where do you go? Amazon.
They're just fabulous. I mean, they take a little bit of, work, but it opens up a whole new, again, I'll show you the book. It opens up a whole new realm of how to read. I mean, now, if you're just starting to read, I highly suggest getting a deck like, a Rider-Waite deck. And this one I particularly like is the Pamela Smith deck. It's got a really nice back to it, and they're nice and thick cards. And they're kind of like an old style color.
That's the commemorative. I have the book to it. I don't have the cards. Yeah, that is a beautiful.
It is a gorgeous,
It's gorgeous, deck. And it gives homage to her because she's the one, that really brought it to life. I mean,
right. So, if you're just learning, and I've got a link, I can send you a link to one of my websites that has a lot of different cards and a lot of Rider-Waite clones. So if you're just learning, I would suggest you learn, you learn on a Rider-Waite clone. You can have different colors. This is universal. You can see how the colors differ.
Yeah. And, the universal is beautiful.
If you're an experienced reader, then you can get something. You can get something like the Druid Craft Churro, which is really, really interesting deck, or you can get the Invisible Churro, so, any of those things, as you learn, here's the Druid Craft, just one of my favorites.
Pull it back just a little bit so we can, oh yeah.
It's really, really a beautiful, beautiful deck.
Okay, I want to show you something when you watch this interview, because I brought this to show you, but I can't really. I don't think I can show you. Oh, wait, maybe I can.
Oh yeah, the Shaman Churro.
Do you know this deck? Because I've had this deck for about 5 years, and I can only read with it once because, for me, maybe it's a projection on me. It is so heavy that the stuff that gets channeled when I pull this deck out is like, whoa, I can only acclimate once a year to the magnitude. So,
decks are like that. There's an oracle deck that I have that is like that. This Power Animals oracle deck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That you just every time I pull a card, it's so meaningful.
Is that Ted Andrews? Is that a Ted Andrews?
Yes. Yeah. So no, Stephen Farmer.
Yeah, I have. I think I had a pack of his cards, and they just did not. You know, that's the other thing. Like, a deck will either take with you or a deck won't take with you.
Yeah, and that, of course, is an oracle deck. But, you know, there are so many decks that are inspired by the Rider-Waite. So if you, like I say, if you learn the Rider-Waite and you like cats, then you can get the cat deck. You can get another cat deck. You can get the mystical cat deck. Of course, can you tell I like cats? You know, you can get different colors for the Rider deck. This is the Radiant. Yeah, so there are just so many different kinds that, you know, go out, start with a Rider deck, because if you learn a Rider deck, you'll be able to read 80% of the decks out there.
Right, okay.
You know, learn the symbolism of the Rider deck, you'll be able to read 80% of the decks out there.
I brought 3 other decks to show you and our live audience, our YouTube audience. Here was the one I was telling you about in the interview. If you can see these, this is, what are these like?
The albino one?
No, this isn't the albino. This is I was telling Lisa, my albino is my daily deck pretty much, but I also do a daily with this. These cards are, I think, what, 6 inches, 7 inches?
Oh, those big ones. What's the back look like?
They're humongous. They're a standard Rider-Waite back.
Yeah, right.
But I really prefer the, like, these things are mucho grande. So if I'm going to read in public, like I could read in Times Square a lot of times. I do readings just for tips, you know, that's my tithe. Right in Times Square, they have a bunch of tables. So these are really perfect for, like, props, more theatrics, you're on stage or something like that. And then this, I don't pull out that often. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah, I have that.
This one is, like, one of my treasured... it really is one of my true treasures. The illustrations are so beautiful.
I'll have to look at that again. I haven't used it very much. You know, of course, I have tons of decks, but you only use a certain few when you're reading.
No, you favor some, but you know that one's.
I've got, you know, you pulled out the large deck. I've got one of my favorite, you know, card size, you know, deck, hand size deck.
Right, you prefer them. Yeah, well, so they do come in all different sizes, and actually the Rider-Waite comes in a mini, tiny. I think they're like an inch, maybe.
Yeah, they come. This is like almost like a deck of cards. They also come. You know, the Rider-Waite comes in little, but there's another one that's about this size.
Right. No.
Yeah, great for, you know, like I got small decks that I just stick in my purse, so I always have a deck in my purse.
I prefer bigger, actually. I don't.
Everybody's got a different thing.
I'm not a size queen, but you know. Okay, my last thing that I wanted to.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know this one?
People love that.
The Osho Zen. So this really combines like incredible amounts of wisdom. I mean, I just get so much, and it comes, at least when I bought it. This thing's like 15 years old now. It came in a case, and the book is also a true treasure. So I wanted to, you know, see if you knew about that. And
I have seen that. I have a friend that has those, and she just loves that deck.
Yeah,
I think
you know,
it's her favorite deck.
Each client, like sometimes I put 5 decks on the table face down, and I tell the client, you're going to choose where we're going today. You know, at the beginning, because it gives them kind of a sense of empowerment. You know, like which deck do you want to... And I have another Rider-Waite that's around 20 years old. And it is old, it's stained, it's fallen apart.
Yeah,
and
I have a few of those.
I show them that deck too, and I'm like, it says a lot about, like, sometimes I'll put them in different boxes, choose a box, and the box contains the card. So you try to make that, like, a little mystical also,
Yeah, I make my own Churro bags.
Oh, nice.
If you can see that, I've got, like, a sun on it, kind of there, a little bit. This one's black, but So, I like, there's just so many things with the Churro that it's you have a relationship with them, it's a different, it's like having a relationship with a person. You have a relationship with the cards in a certain way, and they become part of your life.
No, they're without a doubt. It's just like a chef and their knives. I mean, it really does get your energy. And, the most expensive deck is not going to be the best deck for you. And, certain decks get energized with my own personal, each card. Like when I see I think it's the Four of Cups, the two kids in the garden on the Rider-Waite, to me, the minute that card shows up, I'm like, this is a past life with this person. And, I've never really seen like that as a universal meaning, but, so, my decks are all programmed for Four Cups. Hey, you're dealing with a past life. I know what to tell the person. So, and that takes 10 or 15 years of, like, doing that.
And you have a relationship with each of the cards. That there's cards that for as long as I've been reading, there's just cards that I just don't have as good a relationship. But then other cards, when I pull the Strength card, man, I'm there. I just have a good relationship with that card.
You're Leo, right?
I am.
See, what is that? 8? Is that 8?
I think so, and I think that might be the one where there are some decks where it's switched the 8 and the 11 or something.
They say there's a rumor that Arthur Waite, that Waite switched him around because he didn't want people to know the right sequence.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I knew there was something about that, but I didn't remember
some
the exact.
Funky. And I think Crowley, when he made his deck, he switched it back or something.
Right, something like that. Well, I guess we'll have to do our homework for next time we talk about this.
Okay, we need to wrap it up. It was a great interview. It feels about the right time, and they're gonna start to shut down the studio. Closing statements, shameless plug, pawstalk.net, and what else? We can find you answering questions about mediumship on Quora.
And I also have my mediumship site is spiritcat.com, but the cat has 2 A's, so Spirit, C-A-A-T. And if you want to go look at the tarot decks there, that's the site that has those tarot decks.
Okay. And your animal communication, once again, pawstalk.
Pawstalk.net. Yeah, everything. I pretty much do everything through pawstalk.net. I mean, you can order mediumship readings there. You can order tarot readings there. You can order Huna counseling, and that's something that we've not talked about at all, but, maybe we'll talk about that hopefully in the future, Huna.
Okay, so you're officially and formally invited back. Next topic in a couple of months is going to be shamanism. Shamans is medium. So any other closing? Shakti and the Namaste, thank you for being in the healing circle. Anything else you want to do a closeout? Because that's...
No, I just appreciate you inviting me on. I appreciate all of your viewers for being here and spending this time with us. And I appreciate that this is a conversation. I really like doing this with you because it ends up being a conversation that goes into places that we were not sure that they were going to go, and it goes into places that I think need to be covered, and hopefully your viewers will find value in it, and I welcome the opportunity, so thank you so much.
Okay, I'm honored to be in your presence. Powerful healer, and doing a lot of good work with the animals, which always makes me feel good. Lisa Larson, and she's also on Do you contact on Facebook or no? Just as
I'm
an
on
FYI.
Facebook, but I don't do. If you want to contact me, it's better to contact me through my website. My email is pawstalker@gmail.com, PAWSTALKER@gmail.com, and my website is pawstalk.net.
Right. I'm gonna load all these links in on the YouTube vid as well, and there's no copyright infringement. Because, a lot of times I use music in my show, but this is going to go straight to YouTube in the next 48 hours. All right, Lisa, I'm going to push the button to stop recording this awesome convo of the East Coast and the West Coast. And hang on a second. I'd like to thank our viewers for watching. There's over, actually, 300 hours of Spiritual Topics vids. There's also another interview with Lisa Larson on my YouTube page, which I will link in for you as well. And Lisa's links, look for them below here, right on YouTube. There you go. And, okay, Lisa.
Thank you so much. This is great.
All right. No text next time. I'll tell my families probably. I was like, no text. All right, Lisa, we will talk soon, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Shakti.
Bye, everybody.
Namaste. Okay, thank you. There we go. Okay. Oh, boy, I was sweating those texts out there for a minute. I was like...
So I didn't realize you were doing it on your phone.
Yes, we had to jockey it on the phone. We had to... Hang on, let me shut...
Because of the problem with Facebook?
Yeah, so we just...
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Because my husband and I tried for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we tried. And, I tried it on all different browsers and Google, I don't know what Google. So I'm going to look into using Zoom. It was so easy, man. You just give somebody a link, they go to